Why should I hurting? I should share. Why should my heart be long and long ahead and home when Jesus is my ocean and my constant friend is He. You know His voice, it is all the little every day, and I know He cares for me. His eyes behold the sky.
What's going on, everyone? This is BMT coming at you again. I'm doing this conversation with you guys out of respect. I wanted to grab that song because you don't have to be religious to actually to feel the impact of that song. That song was by Mahalia Jackson. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I wanted to have this conversation about a man I don't really. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know, but I started sitting down with another content creator and we started going over information. I'm not a book reader. I'm just not. I have so much things going on in my life. I never really sit down as much to read different literature and stuff. But I wanted to at least say, let me do something potent and actually respectfully honorable with my platform. We'll showcase everything, and we'll talk about all kind of stuff. And I wanted to actually have this conversation about this man. And the man that I would like to talk about is Dr. Claud Anderson. And I've seen him before. I saw him. He came up on The Breakfast Club. And when I saw him, I just, thought it was just a normal guy just talking about his stuff and, just trying to sell a book. And he was bringing up some stuff about we need to focus on the things that matter. And we need to actually work toward getting certain collective of things done. And, he and hearing him say all these things, I can say I got upset and angry. I did. I want to say I honestly I got upset and angry. Um, I want to say I got upset and angry about this. You know, I don't know why Facebook says I'm alive, but no video's playing. It's crazy. I got upset and angry about this because um, this man is going to the Supreme Court fighting, and he's getting older and older and older. And I think his wife said something that was very potent. She said, "We're getting too old for this trip." And I could not, and I, this is when I do get, and I'm getting choked up about my words, because here you have it where a man, he is fighting. And I'm not talking about like no YouTube stuff. I'm not talking about like no gender war. I'm not talking about like he's fighting, like he is literally fighting something that literally I believe that when he's dead, I don't think nobody would really care. And I get upset because good men like him stand alone in the sand. It's almost interesting that I'm doing this conversation, and let me just show you. And I'm not throwing salt at anybody, but I want to show you. I want to showcase to you these things. I want to showcase to you. Now watch. Now watch. I want to showcase to you. We go home. People are talking about stuff that literally nothing to do. And I can't tell people what the content to go on. But I think I understand that this man's frustration, he understands that I don't think my people care to fight the fight that I'm fighting. I don't think my people care to fight the fight that I'm fighting. And when he says that, it's a pretty interesting exchange. We're joined here by attorney Nichelle. What's going on, dear?
Happy Saturday morning. How's it going?
Happy Saturday morning. How's it going? Have you ever heard of Dr. Claud Anderson?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, I think he makes valid points for Black people to take and create generational wealth. That is something that many of us were deprived of. Our parents didn't have anything to leave us, so their parents didn't have anything to leave them. The ideology of you can't take it with you. So a lot of people who could have left something to their children instead indulged in their own self-glorification. So I think that is something, there's some merit to what he's saying.
Now, this man, he's getting up in age. And I keep hearing his name, but I don't know too much about him. And then I'm like, oh, I did see him because he showed up on Z93, The Breakfast Club. And that wasn't one of the most watched videos. It was actually one of the least watched videos. But he came up there to talk about economics.
Man, he's getting.
He came up there to talk about economics, and he came up there to talk about strategy on how to make circular wealth before you go for the big one. Why is it that a lot of people aren't listening to his plan about how to build up the money, but they're rather going towards the We just want the check. But this man has been he's literally the only last one, the last one. He's at the Supreme Court. Why isn't anybody listening to him?
I think it has to do with instant gratification. We have become a society of instant gratification. Short phrases like, you can't take it with you. You know, why should you skimp and save so that your kids and grandkids can just squander it? I mean, that is a truism in a lot of culture. I'm trying to find it right now. Now, there's a saying that the first generation makes the wealth, the second generation, and let me find it. Okay. But we are not alone. One of the things about African Americans, we often try to say like we were denied our culture from Africa, but as if we as human beings did not sneak certain moral things down to our children generation after generation. So once slavery ended, those people were very, very strong. They had a very sense of moral obligation and family, and a very good business sense, and they had very good skills, and they put those to immediate use. Perhaps it was too painful for their children or their grandchildren to hear stories from slavery that we suddenly stopped passing on wisdom. By the time we got to the 60s, I've actually heard people tell their grandparents, I could not have lived back then. Man, I wouldn't have taken that mess. It became a total and complete, utter disrespect of grandparents and parents who lived through segregation. Now we're at a point where I just posted on my Facebook page, Nichelle Foster, a question that I need white and black people to answer. Why is it that whenever a black person is mistreated, some fool comes back and says, you can't prove they were mistreated simply because they were black? We are shifting the burden. We're not listening to wisdom now. We want quick jingles. We've said the past don't matter no more. But we're not planning for the future. But what Dr. Claud is saying, you build on the past for the future. And that means sacrificing and denying some instant gratification. You feel me?
Yes, ma'am. Now, I'm looking at this. You're hearing where a lot of people are banging at welfare, child support, gender war. Dr. Claud Anderson is banging at a different drum. He's banging at, y'all need to focus on building up your economics. Y'all need to focus on the war of, getting resources and learn how to circulate that dollar as many times as you can. I'm not making this up. Literally, I done this a little bit of research on this guy. Like, if you look at a lot of his stuff, for the most part, he's talking a lot about economics. Here, I'll go right back. He's always talking about economics. Look at his books. He talks a lot about, why is he always talking about, you would think that he's talking about, why is he talking so much about economics and the shift of that? I mean, shouldn't he be focused on like welfare and all the stuff? Why is he focused on resources and economic stuff? Why shouldn't he be focused on, welfare and all this stuff? Why is he not talking about that? He has a book called Power Economics Analyzed. Let me make sure I make that big. Powernomics analyze the complex web of racial monopolies and Black Americans' inappropriate behavior patterns that are driving it into a permanent underclass status. Dr. Claud Anderson proposes new concepts that teaches Blacks new ways to see, think, and behave in race matters. Now, hold on now. Wait. Oh. Are y'all gonna get a little bit upset at me? Michelle, are you ready for me on this one?
I'm ready.
I heard a certain comedian say something close to this. There was a certain comedian that said, Black men, pull up your pants. Black women, wear your clothes on correctly. Stop dressing like hoochies. Y'all need to go to school. But I'll pay for your school. You don't owe me nothing else. Just graduate. Same men from the same era. That was said by Bill Cosby.
Oh yeah.
If I'm wrong, Michelle, that's one of your generation.
No, he's not. I'm not that old. Come on now.
No. But yes, nevertheless, the Cosby Show, y'all girls grew up watching the Cosby Show.
Yes.
That was y'all timeline. By the time I was coming up through, Theo and them were goddamn in high school. Yeah, they were in high school. So, why is he talking about power economics? But one of the things he's beating on is Black Americans' inappropriate behavior. So he's talking about Black accountability. Or if I'm reading it wrong, please let me know.
No, you're reading it right. I mean, but like I said, he's bringing a thought to Black people to sacrifice. Now, I shared on your line an article from NASDAQ. It's just something other races perhaps have seen. I saw it in my family. The first generation builds the wealth. The second generation, it is estimated that 70% of wealthy families will lose their wealth by the second generation, and 90% will lose it by the third. That is a statistical reality of Americans. It's not a Black thing. It's not a white thing. Coming out of slavery, we had great ancestors who built phenomenal wealth. Lose their wealth by the second generation. I don't know why I'm getting an echo. But the long and short of it, even among Caucasians, Asians, or Jewish people, the idea is that by the second generation, they'll just squander the wealth that their parents built. So we have to teach each generation to build, to sacrifice. You know, kids grow up, they need to understand the word no. We created this crazy thing called Santa Claus so that we didn't have to tell our kids no. I tell my kids, as long as you believe in Santa Claus, your Christmases will be much better. Because the moment they said they didn't believe in Santa Claus anymore, they knew I was buying them stuff. Guess what? I could tell them no. You're not getting that for Christmas. You hear me?
Right, I'm listening.
But,
so I'm trying to figure out where that located at. And thank you for everybody who's coming on into the chat. I thought I dropped the link because I want this to be an open discussion about Dr. Claud Anderson. He's old. This man is very old. And he's getting sick. Whether y'all want to know it or not, he does have health issues. It's part of a process of getting old. the body starts to break down. And his wife, beautiful as she is, she said, me and Claude, we can't keep on making this trip. After a while, the body, you gotta, what is it? You gotta start getting clearance from the doctors for trips. So when he's done, he's done. And I'm gonna be for real. They know that. They know that when he is done, he's done. They don't even showcase him going to the Supreme Court on TV. Because they know that nobody's watching that. We like watching riots. Who got shot? You gotta understand, you're black people, you are not no type of class of people that cannot be touched. But what this man wrote is an algorithm formula. This man, I believe he worked for the government at one time, correct, Michelle? He worked for the government.
I'm not. He is economic professor.
Yes.
I forgot. He has the Harvard Institute now, but it's a think tank that supposedly focuses on Black America. He has worked. Let me see. He was chair coordinator. He was the state coordinator of education for Florida under Governor Reuben Askew during the tumultuous period of the 1970s. So he worked for government down in the state of Florida, and then he worked with Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, he said Anderson had worked inside the government to help bring about change. Having had helped the highest position in federal and state government and politics, he was state coordinator of education for Florida under Governor Reuben Askew during the tumultuous period in 1970s. This is a highly decorated man. He has government ties. Harvard. He has a Harvard Institute. He has a pretty high tenure. Who do we have as of now that can honestly fill in his shoes?
Kwame is trying to. But that's the problem. The same kind of was the way our grandparents thought about what he was saying back in the 70s. Because it's hard to sacrifice even more when you're already sacrificed. Don't get me wrong, some people did follow him. They sacrificed, they put their kids through college, but then the majority couldn't sacrifice that much. And you still are going to have people. I had a friend yesterday tell me, she said, I make just as much money or more than my so-called college educated friends. So having a degree don't mean shit. That's what I told my daughter. And her daughter's a single mother making $12 an hour at 26 years old. So maybe she'll get it together, maybe she won't. But we have a problem in the Black community accepting people our own age or a generation ahead of us depart wisdom on us that they perhaps got from books, or they researched, or they followed suit to try to give you wisdom and make things better. I'm not saying they're all 100% correct, but there is, when you have wisdom, you understand you also have to have accountability as well. And there is no real accountability now. That's why we're struggling.
Okay. We're joined here by Screen Learning. Welcome, Screen Learning, also known as Parkland Media. We're going over Dr. Claud Anderson, as you already know from the topic. Once Dr. Claud Anderson leaves, who will step up? Or it was a good run. Open talk. I remember we were having a talk earlier last night, and literally talking about, well, we're talking about it, and different other said things. But talking only gets but so far. You need a tangible plan. Screen Learning, I pass it over to you. Welcome. And literally, let's have the open talk.
Yeah, like Dr. Claud Anderson's Powernomics and Groupnomics, that you are stronger when you have more people in your circle, especially if everyone's on the same page, everyone's knowledgeable, and everyone wants to work towards the same goal. And one thing I liked about Dr. Claud Anderson is he comes from a generation where you didn't have it to where you had stragglers or one person doing all the work and everybody else is kind of like they're hanging out, which you kind of see that now, which is the problem in that he has a lot of great information. He's a wealth of knowledge, and we can use that, apply it to what we already do, and kind of stand on his shoulders so that when he is gone, we still have his books, we still have his interviews, we still have his YouTube channel that he has, and we can kind of go forward and apply what he talked about from his day of really being more active, working for the government and in dealing with economics or the economy, and we can apply it to like 2020 and beyond, and carry the baton and carry the torch ourselves. I don't think we need necessarily a polarizing figure like Dr. Claud Anderson, which is great to have those type of people. I think it's more about we're able to hear what happened during that point in time from his experience, take his strategy, take his plan, and modernize it and just move forward. Because people are going, death is promised to everybody, and we have to take what we can get from others, apply it to our current plan, and execute and do whatever we want to do as far as reaching goals.
I hear you with that. And no, respect. Respect to that. You guys make sure you like the video, share the content. I definitely want to have the conversation because like I said, I am a non-believer of a sort. And I say that respectfully, out of no disrespect, but I have a hard time believing in a following. I'm a heathen. I'm the type of person that I don't want to claim no black leader. I don't want nobody speaking for me. And I know that's really harsh to say, especially that's why I feel a little bit convicted about this because, I'm saying we a lot of people say, well, our black leaders, and excuse me. But whenever it comes to it, I never see this man in the pictures with all them other Black Caucus people. I never see him in a picture with any of these people on these giant celebrity pictures or these court cases and stuff, or wearing these nice $1,000 suits. I'm just saying, just looking at him right now, like he doesn't look like any of those pizzazzed out, jazzed out people. He really don't. And I'm like, how did I miss this guy? I'm just saying, this man has a interesting tenure under his belt. Go ahead.
Dr. Boyce Watkins has Dr. Claud Anderson on his program, and they kind of talk about different things, and that's like one of the rarest times you can kind of see. I'm going to say a pure economics talk when Dr. Claud Anderson's there, and then also. I think the reason why Dr. Claud Anderson and people like him are not promoted that much is because you have people now who are starting movements who will criticize Dr. Claud Anderson, saying that everything that he has in his books and he talks about is dated and only valid like back in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, but it's not valid now. And Tone Talk and Yvette Carnell kind of use those talking points to kind of stand up their ADOS movement platform. So I think that's the reason why we don't really hear much about them, because the people who are relevant now for like social media, they criticize and put down his work just lift up their work. And then now that their work is stood up, now they're kind of like moving forward with what they got going on. And that's kind of what you see with every generation. You'll have someone who wants to, you see it on YouTube where somebody wants to get started on YouTube, they come in beefing, or they come in dragging, roasting, cooking, whoever's established. And then when people start to flock to them, that's when they'll start promoting whatever they want to promote as far as the platform, agenda, and talking points. So we don't really hear about them much, because people who are relevant now, who are talking about economics, reparations, and racial equality, they're not going to bring him on their platform, because his talking points would dilute their current message. It's very hard to talk about racism, and then you got somebody who like Dr. Claud Anderson, who will come on your platform and be like, well, racism is different now than when I experienced it. We should be focused on starting businesses and hiring our own,
Right,
buying from our own, and supporting our own. Like if you want to be an Instagram thought, for example, don't quote me on him me saying. So instead of, I'm not going to quote him. This is what I got from what he said when I heard one of his YouTube videos, and he was saying, if we want to be Instagram thoughts, ball players, and we want to be depraved as far as how we deal with our lifestyle, that's fine, but you should be wearing your own stuff or stuff or black owned stuff, as opposed to you trying to be half naked wearing Dior, half naked wearing Coach, half naked with weave from people who don't even look like you. So he was saying, if you're gonna make a jackass of yourself, at least sell what you're wearing, or sell something that, or wear something that's like black owned. Because he was talking about powernomics and group economics and all that, which I kind of understood that, because a lot of people are like, well, like I was on a panel last night after yours BMT, and there was a guy talking about, thoughtism, and talking about the Instagram models and WAP and the strippers and for the Democrats doing that, get the booty to the polls. And Dr. Claud Anderson would be more like, okay, if you want to do that, that's fine, as long as you're able to cross promote, cross sell, and cross brand that's black owned while you're doing all this debauchery. So at least we can bring in dollars and keep the dollar circulating in the neighborhood. And I'm like, I kind of feel the same way.
now that's very interesting, and I'm about to pass it to Michelle with that. That is so much. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. But to get your booty to the pole, if somebody would tell me that $13,000 were to circulate in the black community for over 24 hours, I would probably say that those women probably did more good than most people that are in the Black Caucus today. $13,000 just circulating.
I have a good friend. Yeah, I have a good friend who says that black people like stick better. They like stick comedy. It has to have some kind of hook to it. So we've gotten sold on the hook. And yeah, get your booty to the pole. That is a good hook. Mm-hmm. Now, whereas we are known for our booties, black men as well as black women, we're known for our booties. Especially black women, we're known for our booty. So to build on that and say, get your booty to the pole, and have strippers there that said, now that I've got your attention, let me give you a message. Get your booty to the pole. I mean, in one sense, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. In another sense, maybe we need to look at ourselves a little bit and wonder, why was it brilliant? Why are we so captivated with the idea of black butt as our defining characteristic? Brothers, why?
Now, one of the things about it, I know I said, well, this is what to be about Dr. Claud Anderson. Now, I think one of the stuff is that he was teaching power economics. And
Hold up, BMT. You got to answer the question for you. Talk about that.
what was the question?
Oh, the show was saying why is booty so fascinating to us that it'll get our attention more than like anything else.
Okay,
So
I'll answer that. I'll answer that. Black people look at sexual access as power. Black people look at sexual access as power. More women you can control under you, the more you look like you're looked at as a king. The more men a woman can have, the more, if a woman can make 5 or 6 dudes give her money and never have to drop her drawers, that's power. We look at it as our sexuality of being sexualized weapons, which that's what they do with us, as power. And literally we contort that as power. So now that they have it whereas to I have not just one woman, but 2 or 3 women, you know what I'm saying? They all do whatever they want to, they all do for me, and they allow me to sleep with them and touch them and all kinds of stuff and, you know, live vicariously. I'm a king. But then you'll say, well, hold up now. Now that these women have rights and that they don't have to come to me for power, whoa, there's a problem with that. Now I'm living dangerously. Women now have to doggone be accountable. We're dealing with multiple men. And the chances of them actually being looked at and received the same by the one man that they possibly do want. You gotta understand that sex is a very potent weapon. It is. That literally has been sold to the Negro. That if he sells his sanctity of his innocence, you know what I'm saying? It's a win. It's a win. That is how
what would be going along with Claude Anderson is to play your strong card first. Play your strong card first and bring wealth into the Black community and then keep it circulating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I always say export, that we need to learn to export our talents. It's because I truly tell you, I was sitting at a meeting with Mark Cuban with a group of other black professionals. And Mark Cuban asked a very simple question. He said, why is it that Black people only come to me to invest in businesses that are geared toward things that Black people will buy? I don't know what Black people will buy. I'm not Black. He's like, why do you limit yourself to 13% of the market? 13% of the market. Why don't you make a product that appeals to everybody and not just sell to or direct it towards Black people? You can be a Black-owned business without just having Black customers. And I thought that was a very, very dynamic point. That if you think of the lady who founded Spanx, she went to a man and said, I came up with this great idea. You know, I don't have any money to manufacture it, but I think this is a great idea. You know, if those who don't know what Spanx are, they are pantyhose or girdles. They're pantyhose without, so you can wear sandals. They don't cover your feet. Anyway, she left the product with him. His wife and daughter happened to come by and see this basically women's pantyhose in his office. He had a lot of explaining to do. She got an opportunity to interview at Neiman Marcus in Dallas. She sells everything she has, hops on the plane, and tells the woman, look, I can show you better than I can explain it to you. I have on white pants right now. Now, look how different I look once I put on Spanx. Come in the bathroom, I'll show you the before and the after. The woman got the idea. She got it. Wow. You know, I'd love to look smooth in my clothes and not have have dips and dumps and fat bulges here and there and be able to wear my sandals. That's great. She ordered for 5 stores. The woman goes back to the manufacturer and says, great, I got an order. Can you do this order? He's like, I'm so glad you came. I didn't understand the concept. I'm a man. My wife and daughter thought it was brilliant once I explained what was going on. That's how she got her start. So you can't always go to white people with a black idea. You can go to other black people and have them invest and say, yes, this will be great. But what back then, what Dr. Claud was saying made sense in the 70s. There were a lot of opportunities. One of the most interesting things is BET got its start because white companies were looking for a way to sell to black people. It reemphasized that. White people were looking for a way to sell their products to black people. That is where BET came from. Then you had companies like Soft and Beautiful, Just For Me, Dark and Lovely. They came out because there was a market for black hair care. Black people wanted their hair to look more like Caucasian hair. And those companies grew. And as time evolved, it wasn't just enough to have your hair sort of look like white people's hair. You needed to put some white people's hair in your head, or something close to Brazilian in your head.
So, question. So I want to ask the question and cut at it. I'm seeing and hearing a lot of factions of Pan-Africanism and segregation and divestment. I never heard Dr. Claud Anderson bring up segregation, or we need to go back to segregation, or that was probably the best time for us. I hear him speak the exact opposite, that you have a more abundant opportunities. You need to take advantage of them. Do you think that's the reason why a lot of people are disgusted with him, because he would say something like, hey, you now have the opportunities that a lot of us was not afforded? Or do y'all...
It was twofold. Okay, after we ended segregation, when the vast majority of black people could suddenly go to white restaurants, they could go to white doctors, they could go to white CPAs, they could go to white businesses. But at the same time, our black professionals were not reaping in white businesses all of a sudden, white customers. White customers were still leery of buying from black people.
Right.
They still are leery when a black doctor comes in. They're still leery. I know black people that said, look, I'm going to get in where I can fit in. And that was it. They didn't care. I had one friend, she worked at a law firm just on discrimination matters and she was eye candy. The whole idea was she would sit there in court next to the defendant who had been accused of being sexist or racist, with the idea of giving the jury the impression of how could this company be racist or sexist when they've hired a black woman attorney to sit there at the table. So understand, we've done the reason the message is not resounding is because there are a lot of black professionals and black business owners that don't want us to do anything but support black businesses, come back to us. I mean, like the black church. The black church lost a lot of membership because of the end of segregation. When segregation ended, suddenly black people flocked away from black businesses without promoting black businesses to Caucasians and the majority. We still don't do that. We promote black businesses to black people. We say black people have a duty to support black businesses. Why don't we say But in entertainment, we've realized that crossover artists like Beyonce, they make a lot more money than if they just stay in the Black market. But we're not wanting to hear that. We continue to say we have to support our Black businesses. We have to support our Black business. No, what we need to do is export our talent to everybody and bring that money back and support our Black business. People like Michael Jordan, Beyonce, Cardi B, they are the ones that should be running around wearing Black designers. Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, though Oprah should never be seen unless she's promoting some Black designer. The things in their houses should be Black. If we could build a black luxury car, and I know we can because Cadillac Escalade was designed by a Black man, we would be phenomenal. We are phenomenal when we export our talents. And that's what he promoted. Claude Anderson promoted that we go out and show that we can get white dollars as well as Black dollars. And we can pass that on to future generations. But the second generation, as I said before, even among white people, 70% of the wealth is lost in the second generation because they don't want to struggle like their parents did. They'll just sell the business, cash it out, and go on about their business. Third generation, 90% of the wealth is gone. So that is one of the sad realities of Dr. Claud Anderson, is that he, along with a lot of other economics, cannot explain the significant decrease in the second generation when it came to wealth.
Okay. I want to kick it over to Screen. And shout out to everyone who's coming on into the chat. Okay, so let me ask about this. Screen. Do you feel a lot of younger men and women in our age category are filling up the mantle to want to take on the path that Dr. Claud Anderson taken? I mean, right now we're in a generation where, hey, we got to build for ourselves. It wasn't really much passed on to us. I know some people could probably tell the story, well, I was given this or I was given that, but that's literally the minority. Out of the majority, me and you share a past of, we kind of self-built ourselves. Or what's your thoughts?
So from my opinion, I think yes. Unfortunately, they're too busy working to really just boast about what they got going on. You see it on Instagram. There's a lot of women on Instagram. A lot of like Black women. There's a lot of Black women who are they're slowly making moves to get like palettes. I'm not knowledgeable about makeup. I just watch it and I'm like, oh, okay. But they have like palettes where it's like makeup or whatever, and they're selling their own palettes as opposed to like palettes by like the designer companies. And then there's a lot of them, they're selling hair and nails, and they're wearing the stuff on like an Instagram live stream, and everything they're wearing, they're talking about it, and then they have like descriptions in the live stream chat of where people can go to buy it. So people are picking up the mantle. It's just that a lot of like you and I, BMT, we're connected, but and then Nichelle, we're connected with her as well. There's not a lot of us that really come together and create networks. So we're individually, we're creating our businesses, we're building our customer base, we're selling to people, but we're not really networking and letting each other know that we're here. Because in my opinion, it's because we're scared to lose business, kind of like how YouTube content creators are. Once the content creator gets to a certain point, he doesn't want to work with people anymore. He doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that, because they don't want to lose their subscribers. So I think people have picked up the mantle. It's the people that we see who are the most visible and the most vocal are the ones who are kind of the opposite. And they're kind of wanting people to move backwards because, you know, that's pretty much their business. So I think we are moving forward. It's just we just aren't networking and making ourselves known to each other.
Right. And I agree with what you're saying on that one. It's when it comes to network, and at some point I have to ask the question. You got to have the stars aligned with you to really want to work with Black people. And I know some people say, well, just do it. And I'm like, I don't have the wiggle room to fail. If that makes any sense to any of y'all. Like, I only got so many shots, and then after that, that's I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
Why do we want to just work with Black people?
No, I see, and that's the thing about it. I feel like there's a weighted pressure that's put onto Black people to work with Black people. Is that fair to say?
No, the pressure is this. This is the pressure you have as a business owner. And I will say it over and over again. Black people will come to a Black business and ask for a hookup, ask for a discount, or they're going to take their money over to the white man. I've seen Black employees tell a CEO that hired over 400 people. He employed over 400 people. He told him that he felt like he was being treated just like a white man would treat him. He said, young man, I thought working at a Black company, it'd be better. You know, you treat us better. He said, why would you expect to provide me less work just because I'm a Black employer? That is one of the things that we also have about ourselves, is that we'll go to a beautician, we'll get our hair done, we'll get our nails done. If it's by one of us, we'll want a discount. We'll sit up there. I still remember that show where you had that bonehead head on there talking about, we need to work together as Black people. Instead of charging sisters $150, why don't they charge us $75? What bonehead ass move is that? When I have a good stylist, I pay her the $150 plus I give her a tip. Why should Black businesses suffer to work with us? That's something we have to ask ourselves. If I go to a Black restaurant, I want good service. And in exchange for that good service, I'm going to leave a good tip. I'm not going to ask for a hookup. I don't want Black businesses to feel like I'm doing them a favor. And I don't want them to feel like they're doing me a favor. It is a beneficial exchange. But what we have now is a lot of people feeling like the Blacks that have something owe every other Black person something, no matter the quality of their work. So when I said Beyonce should be bouncing in Black designers, don't be bouncing in them because they are Black. You should promote the best Black designers. We need to start promoting our own excellence. Let people see Beyonce in some good Black designer clothes so that designer can go mainstream. That's my whole point.
So, in saying that, because again, I don't think we have an algorithm to filling up for Dr. Claud Anderson. Again, do we have an algorithm to fill in the doctor's space? Is it wrong for us to try to figure out how to get reparations? I know some people say, why make it a Black or white thing? And that's them. That's their preference. And that's their belief. If they believe in that, then that's on you. That's on you. But I don't want other people to deter other people from the fight.
What is the fight?
So the fight would be, this man has been trying to organize for us to have some type of sustainable, reputable action given back to African Americans for different things that have happened throughout the U.S. Do you feel?
In what way?
Do you feel that there should be a compensation or not?
I mean, for some, yes, but for others, no. There are some people that suffer and still have not received compensation. There were others that sat along the wayside and just watched, if not tried to deter the movement. There were a lot of Black people that sat up there and said, Martin ain't gonna get all us niggas killed. Yes, I said the N-word, but that was the quote. So what I'm saying is, not every Black person was part of the struggle. Not every Black person participated in getting things the way they are now. And again, look at the way things are now. I mean, racists play a chess game that right after slavery ended, there became a whole idea of, let's pass some new laws, because the Constitution says we can only enslave them if they break a law. So let's make some laws that they can break. So vagrancy, loitering became a thing. They even started arresting women who were staying at home, taking care of their families, who didn't need to work because their husbands were making enough money. They arrested them so that they could hire them out to the rich white women that wanted servants but didn't want to pay a lot of money for the servants. This has been a constant chess game. When you can get arrested because your husband makes enough money for you not to work. And it only applied to Negroes.
So you don't think that they shouldn't receive no type of compensation?
I didn't say that. I said that if you can trace your injury, then you should get compensation. The question is, can you trace your injury? As I said, just because you sit up there and say you got black skin, don't mean that anybody in your family ever was a slave. I mean, you got women nowadays, they can't even tell who their baby daddy is, so how they know who their granddaddy is? Am I lying about that? Yeah.
I mean, it's possible to.
Go ahead.
There's a genealogy. Let me pull it up before I start talking. I mean, there's ways you could trace it back as far as a family tree and lineage, because the government keeps up with it, and then you can take a DNA test. There's several different ways to trace back if somebody is ADOS or foundational black or not. I think the focus would be creating.
Just because you were in the United States prior to 1864 does not mean you were a slave. Richard Allen, founder of the African Methodist Episcopal Church in 1783, was never a slave. Richard Allen, the founder of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the AME Church, in 1783, was not a slave.
Okay, now hold on. Michelle, now we gotta ask the question. Does anybody ask any other group these same questions on, hey, just because you might not have been a part of that struggle, I don't necessarily, because let's just be honest, like that, let them handle that in their own way in fighting. That's not for the other groups to decide that. That's kind of an in-house thing. Like what those groups choose to do in-house, that's on them. How they choose, how they like, they could do it with trade. I believe, like, hey, Instead of just turning it into a financial thing, turn it into a trade school, turn it into marketing, turn it into property value. I mean, me and Screen have gone over properties that are up for sale. Hey, y'all want return on investment with the money? You got to come on this settlement and put in the work. Your money is good on this settlement. We'll build up our own little casinos, our own little distilleries, our own little ranch of CBD oils and products. And guess what? You live tax-free. You can sell the money. You can do bartering and trading. Now, when you leave off, we'll give you a little stipend. But other than that, as long as you live on here, you're tax-free.
Yeah, because
Go ahead, Screen.
Because the Native Americans, they have like in Oklahoma, the ones I talked to, they have an actual panel of people, and they also have a governing body that determines who goes to the Native American hospital or not, who's able to get a grant from the reparations money they have to start a casino business or any business or not. They use it through, they go through like a panel. So that's who would determine who gets what. Is you have to have like some type of central body of people who will determine, okay, who gets reparations or not. And then reparations could also not necessarily be for slavery, but it could be for Jim Crow. It could be for any injustice you want to tie to. And I put the link in the chat as far as it's archives.gov research and it's genealogy. So you got that. You can use DNA. There's a whole host of different ways you can figure out your family tree and prove it to somebody else. There's been records have been kept all the way since Emancipation Proclamation, and that would be the starting point. Right. People who are smarter than me would hammer out the details because they already have grants geared towards African Americans and Blacks, and pretty much, you know, the government has records to determine whether you're immigrant or not. So there's no point in really going into the details per se because we're on YouTube just to kind of discussing it. I think the main takeaway is does one person feel strongly enough to get the ball rolling, and then other people join that person as they execute trying to get this thing going.
I agree.
I know I forgot her name. I know Sheila E. I sat in on one of the groups that she has, reparations in New York, and they had a lot of great ideas, and I added ideas for them. And like Sheila E. and people like that, they're actually just they have a small group of people, and they meet up every week. They talk to politicians, and they're working to get reparations in New York. And you can go to Google and type in race riot for like your state. Google the government and other record keepers like libraries, they've kept track of all the racial injustices. You just have to get that information and use it if you want to go the political route with a politician, or if you want to try to sue or petition the government. A lot of other groups have gotten reparations by suing the federal government. So it just depends on one person starting that path and then getting lawyers involved who will, I don't know if they'll do a pro bono, but they can kind of like assist in getting it done because we can't speak legalese and we don't know a lot about the judicial system. So we would have to get lawyers who are for helping to see change and get the desired result. And if not, at least starting the process so the baton can be carried to the next generation. And we're not just sitting around waiting for somebody to be running for president and hopefully say something about reparations. And maybe we get.
Michelle, was that you that put it in the YouTube chat? Did you put it in the Facebook chat?
Yes, I did.
Oh, why couldn't you just put it in the YouTube? You know I'm over here on YouTube doing two things. All right, now I got to go find it.
Move it over there.
All right, so I'm going to tell you right now.
The problem comes down to, okay, Senator Cory Booker and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, they are siding on the best way to describe it is headlines. They've decided that the number is $151 million per person. That the study suggests a payment of $150 million each, and the cost to every person would be $18.96 million. That These are Sheila Jackson Lee is a lawyer that's on board. Corey, I forgot what he is, but he is a senator at least. But these are the people that we have that are right there in Congress working on this mess. So at some point in time, you have to ask, are they serious about this? I mean, look at our national debt already. You're sitting up here saying that we want taxpayers to come up with $6.2 quadrillion. Quadrillion comes after trillion. That is the proposal that they're looking at right now in DC. So I've heard Black people say, man, I ain't no sucker. I ain't gonna accept no settlement unless it's, 5 million, 50 million, that ain't no money. Meanwhile, these are joker brokers that ain't even making 100,000. So at some point in time, we need adults to take a hold of this conversation and stop saying, somebody could, somebody would, we get this together. Let's look at it practically. If you are in a car wreck, you have something objective to show as to your damages. The time you were off work, lost wages, you have your medical bills. Those are what they look at objectively to determine what your pain and suffering really was. What are your medical records showing as to your injuries? How long will it take you to recover and recuperate? Will there be long-term damage repercussions from the car wreck? When you go to trial as a defendant, they need to show the elements of your offense and that you were the one that directly was the one that went in there and robbed the stuff. Because you shouldn't do time for something you didn't do. That is the argument that we're having in the United States.
Okay, but here's the thing. So we have it in North Carolina that in North Carolina, they've already approved blacks for reparations. They already did that. They literally did that in Asheville, North Carolina, which already had happened. The measure had been passed by the city council. See, you don't have to do it nationally. You can just do it in certain areas, which literally they just proved that literally Asheville, North Carolina will provide funding to promote home ownership and business. See, that's generational and legacy building. In other words, instead of just saying, well, I'm just going to give you some money, why just do that when literally I can help promote and help y'all rebuild your stuff. But stop short on stipulating direct payment. Direct payments. I'll help y'all with y'all building up your home ownership of your communities, as well as the businesses. And literally, but let's be for real, that's something a lot of other races will want to take advantage of. Home ownership. We got different cultures that are buying properties. The Chinese, the Arabs, the different cultures are buying up Caribbeans. They're all buying up housing. Now they're saying, well, guess what, blacks, if you want to get housing in this area, if you are a local in this area, it's open to you. I don't know why we always make it seem like reparations is only but $1. And that was something that Dr. Claud Anderson was speaking on. You got to have other avenues. Like, open up a trade. Open up doggone different windows of relevancy. It's more than just a check, because what are you going to do with just that money? Especially if the economy is going to crap, or they literally say no shopping. As an American, what if you're on child support? Oh, wait, you can't have access to that money. What if you're a felon? But, however, this does open up the prospect that if Screen Learning is a business owner and he's in that area, guess what? Screen Learning, we can sign you up for a loan for you to hire more blacks. How's that? That's literally a game changer. Now he can literally start recreating the economy around his people.
Or even forgivable loans.
Those are game-changing things. Mind you, let's look at it right here. When COVID happened, what was one of the big things? What was one of the big things that big corporations were doing? We want forgivable loans We want out of our debts. They were having checks that they could write for insurances and all. I'm like, holy crap. It's like everybody got a pass go, but the little man. They were all playing Monopoly and pulling $200 out. Well, actually more than $200.
Okay, didn't y'all just hear me say that people play chess and not checkers? I hear you talking.
No, but we're playing
right here. No. Listen,
but they're
listen
playing
what I'm saying.
Monopoly. They're playing Monopoly.
Listen to what I'm saying. No, that's right here is called chess. They said the measure calls for a plan to provide reparations to Black residents in the form of investments in their community, such as increasing minority home ownership, increasing minority business ownership and career opportunity. They're going to set up a commission that's going to figure out how we can come up with the money, because everything costs money. So at the end of the day, what happens is, for example, let me give you an example. I know a slumlord here in the Fort Worth area. I'm not going to say his name. He came up with a great plan that if you could get minorities pre-qualified for a program, he would build the houses. He would build 70 houses in the minority community. And those people would be able to move in without having any down payment. But they would be able to rent for 15 years and build up their credit. So at the end of the 15 years, they could buy the house for $130,000. Sound like a good plan, didn't it? Guess how much those houses are now worth?
He's a slumlord. So, I mean, couldn't be that good if he's a slumlord.
Again, guess how much those houses are now worth?
How much?
$350,000 to live in the hood. If you want to buy a new house and you're not on that program, you have to come up with $350,000 to live in an 1,800 square foot house in the hood. And it's like, it was a game that when I sit up there and say, you can now use Section 8 to buy a house, because it is a $5 billion industry, that when Ben Carson is meeting with the leaders of Deutsche Bank about HUD homes, about Section 8 homes, they're not trying to eliminate them. They're trying to move them into other areas so that banks can make more money off the taxpayer.
Okay, so I'm hearing you saying all that, but now we're talking about, I'm putting the onus on your own people to be self-accountable. Power economics. Where literally now you're accountable for your own people. You be your own, you literally have your own journey on faith. I'm not asking nobody. If I want to retain a lawyer to go ahead and speak for me, I will go ahead and do that. If I want to do that, but see, at the end of the day, these things are going to cost. They're going to cost money. And they're going to actually take time. And see, people are playing the long game. Like, I mean, go get into renting out some property. Take your home and rent out your bedrooms. Then after that, take that money and go get another house and, fix that up. And then after that, go rent out those rooms. But you stay in the other half of the house. Like, you can do these things, and after that, keep on building. It's a longer process, and it might take you 8 or 10 years. But at the end of the day, you'll probably have a few properties under your belt. I can tell you right now, being a property manager, it sucks. But however, it comes with the chaos, it comes with the power. So, literally, just talking about just the check. The check might not be worth a damn. See, sometimes in business, the check, it's better to get the networking access more than just the check. Having the access to sit at the table is more powerful than just getting the check. See, people who have access to certain people, that's the power. That's the power, because that access to that person can speak life or death. It's true. Versus, I mean, let's be honest. You have certain commissions. You say certain people's name or you slander them, they can shut you down. So what good is it having all that money if literally you say somebody or talk about a certain group, and I want it to be where if you say something derogatory, remember OG Speed said he wanted to be where what was it screen, if you say the N-word, that literally YouTube should shut down your channel. Now right there, that would
ideally, but that's not going to happen.
But that would be some crazy power, wouldn't it? That would be crazy.
It would be.
You know what I'm saying? Now I know if you say something about the alphabet people, oh, they that video would get responded to real quick.
The problem is that we've, unfortunately, throughout the years, we've used the N-word so much in different mediums that the N-word is kind of commonplace. And what white people do instead of using the N-word, and besides, like, so I've seen two things. I don't want to derail the conversation. I've seen, we'll get back on track. I've seen two things where, one, if a white person wants to use the N-word, what they'll do is they'll have the person they're dating who's black say the N-word when they want to say it. So you got that, the whole swirling aspect. The other thing that white people do is they just tell somebody, well, you're not black, which basically means the same thing. But we're too far gone as a collective using the N-word with each other to the point, and also in music. Whereas if you go to a rap concert, the rapper's up there, doing his thing. He uses the N-word in his music. The white kids who were in the crowds, the main one buying tickets, they're also using the N-word. And it's just like, what are you going to do? Because we made it so commonplace. We don't have the protection that we should have, like the LGBTQ. So I'll pass the mic back. I was just saying, I just wanted to kind of give.
Like I said, it's going to come about because I'm about to wrap it up. I got to get to this meeting. As far as it goes for the Dr. Claud Anderson algorithm, we don't have anybody. And literally, I'm going to tell you right now, there are the people that are fighting. It's kind of like the rebel army of Star Wars. You got different little factions, and you're going to have them like Sheila E. While some people, they will wear a nice suit and go inside different buildings and say, hey, you know what? I speak for y'all, and I went to this school when I did that. And people are like, we don't give a shit. Because that's not relevant to us.
But Sheila E, the YouTuber.
But that's part of the problem. Not trying to be funny. But one of the reasons why Dr. Martin Luther King was so successful is because he was educated with degrees that everyone could understand, they could respect. He was an educated man.
That's the manager.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, y'all. You guys, I have to go. I will try to continue the conversation another time, or hopefully somebody picks it up another time. Shout out to my associate Screen Learning for definitely weighing in on the information about Dr. Claud Anderson. I'm probably going to watch a few of his videos. I'm not that heavy of a book reader. Sorry. TM and the military killed it for me for reading. Sorry. Death by TM and PowerPoint did it in for me.
And I was also talking about Sheila E, the YouTuber, not the politician. Reparations is a state issue, so everybody check out Sheila E, the YouTuber, when she's not beefing with people. When she talks about her and the reparations group that she started in New York. The YouTuber Sheila E is doing a lot of great things as far as reparations. You just got to catch her when she's not, beefing and kind of going through all that she does. But definitely do that. Check out Sheila E, the YouTuber, because she'll tell you that reparations is a state issue. So if you want reparations, you got to do it for your state. It's not a federal thing. All right. Thanks, BMT, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, send me Sheila E's channel so that way I know I've talked to Sheila a few times. But yeah. I'll see you guys another time, and y'all take care. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and peace. Peace, everyone.
Can I put it in the chat before you end it?
Yeah.
You know what? I know you're about to leave.
You want to just email it to me?
Yeah, I was trying to put it in the chat for everybody to see, but yeah, you'll have to email or text it to you or something because I can't really find. It's like 1,000 Sheila E. So yeah, I'll send it to you.
I was like, whoa, all these Sheila E's. Who are all these?
Yeah, it's a lot of them. It's a mess.
She must be really popular. All right, guys. We'll see you guys later. Peace. Y'all have a good day.